Hello, everybody. We are live, vibe coding with Lovable, the topic today. And I'm super happy. I will take a quick introduction to introduce Valentin and Reto. And we're going to learn a lot today. We are going to see like how you really use Lovable and where do you stop and where do you need something else and what's next. So you see basically a round shot of what's possible and a live example from Reto. Speaking about Reto, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday.
Hey, thank
Amazing.
you.
Take time to come and visit and share your knowledge. Reto, I met years ago in San Francisco. So I was there in the tech scene and Reto as well. So we got connected, the Swiss cheese, met each other. And since then, I was on a very regular base, always exchanging with Reto and was impressed what he always touches. So he was one of the first employees at Doodle and then built several ideas, startups. And I was really impressed like how fast and how structured he usually processes through those topics. And today, he's also sharing what he learned in the last year. I mean, he founded Testing Time, sold it, I think it's a bit more than a year ago.
Yeah, since a year I'm out. The exit was 21, 22. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
already 3, 4 years. Yeah,
So the earnout phase is over.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what is interesting that you did not lay back. No, the opposite. You started with the Vibe Code Festival. You do now Vibe Code workshops, and it's impressive. Like your your kind of eagerness to learn new things, and you did also a machine learning course. So you never there is nothing you can that can stop you. It seems like from the outside. But on the other hand, also I would like to introduce Valentin as my co-founder in crime. So we founded several companies together and worked on several of those companies as he's the product guy, the go-to person when it is about product management. How do you really do it efficiently um, to go from 0 to 1? How do you focus on priorities? How do you manage remote teams? Um, I don't know a lot of people who share more know-how than Valentin in the product management and engineering space, and it was always a pleasure to work. And so I'm happy to if we are currently we are working in different companies, and I'm really happy that we still have this kind of regular syncs and learning from each other. And yes, having said that, some administrative points today. Please go ahead and join the surveys, join the questions, share them with us, and it would be really nice to see that these questions work out in the end. Let's do that. And once you want to really like join a conversation, I can here moderate and manage those questions a bit. But to kick off, Valentin, could you start with explaining the term vibe coding? I mean, I guess everybody's familiar with what it is, but there's a lot of different interpretations out there. So maybe you quickly summarize what it is for you and how do you use it usually?
Yes, welcome. So it's a great opportunity to talk about vibe coding. As Reto basically brought me a little bit onboarded me like nearly a year ago on an event where he said, "I'm so into this vibe coding thing. I'm not trying everything and do this and that." And then I felt, well, I do all product stuff. I maybe also need to start with something like that. So I joined his Vibe Code Festival, which he does again this June, and tried it out. And so basically invented the vibe coding term is invented by some famous technician, Andre Karpati, a year ago in February. He basically wrote a tweet about vibe coding, and what he defined it was when you started talking to machines instead of really basically coding and thinking through it and then look at the code and try to solve all kind of technical goals or problems building a website, building an app, or building a software. architecturing it and developing it. It's just talking to the machine, because the models, these famous LLMs from OpenAI, from Anthropic, from Google, from others, became so good they could automatically take the text, what you talked about, structure it, and then build code. And you didn't have to look anymore at any code. So in his definition, it was really, he just explains what he wants to do in words and gives a lot of context, maybe sometimes completely unstructured, just describes what he wishes he would be doing, as you had in every sales conversation as a developer. And then the system built an app or a website or a product. And I think that covers it quite a lot. It's kind of like a feeling of where you're vibing, where you talk to the system, and that changes a little bit how you work with those systems, because previously you listened to a conversation of somebody who had an idea, or if a salesperson who asked for something, or a marketing team who described what website they would like. And then you, as a product manager or developer, kind of like tried to translate it into technical terms, and then thought about how do I build it? How should I need to design it? How should the UX be? And now the system does this, or those vibe coding tools do it, and already give you something based on what you understand. And when you talk, you give way more context than when you write. Writing is already a translation of your content part. So for me, vibe coding, then when I started this, I use a tool who is specialized for vibe coding. There are multiple tools. There's a gazillion of tools, actually. The bigger ones are Lovable, where I'm also an ambassador, which is a cool European startup. And there are others like Replit, which is well-known, Bolt or V0. And there, for every special use case, there's a different vibe coding tool. And basically, it's just a tool where you can sign up, and then you can chat, converse with it, and it builds something. It builds a website, it builds an app, it builds a widget, it even builds a dashboard or a more complex application. And you just describe what you want in your own words, and you can talk to it, or you can chat, like you do with ChatGPT, and then it builds something. And some are better in visualizing, they're more designy, some are more technical. But at the end, they're all more or less the same. You just have to pick one. And then you get very quickly to something visible which you can improve. And once you train this and you learn, you get better in describing it, and you get better, basically lower your guards to do it. And you see what is possible. At the beginning, you're probably very skeptical. You try a simple website, but then maybe you, as a finance person, you maybe try to build a dashboard and you upload an Excel and say, can you visualize this different? And when you then become more familiar with it, you try to build some intelligence in it. Because so far, the restriction was always you had to talk to a developer, you had to talk to somebody technical, to an engineer. But so many people reached out to me like, Valentin, I have an idea. How would I do it? And now they can just try it and get to the version 1 on their own, or version 3 even, or version 10, before they even need to talk to a specific technical person. And this is really the big change, right? That you basically can jump over many iterations with more experienced people, just from your couch or wherever you are, and get to something visible, and then have better conversation once you talk to the technical people, or you only talk when you actually reach certain limitations. So this is a little bit what's vibe coding for me and how I experienced it.
I would like to add this mindset shift. I mean, this is when I worked in product teams, it was always really important, hey, be careful what you're gonna specify, what is the scope of the requirements you write for the development team, because do not give too much, do not really go into this bottleneck, because it was always the engineering department. And now when you are this fast, so the bottleneck becomes not really the execution anymore. It becomes the part where ideation or this product sense, this can be too much. So you could build a lot of things, and no one is stopping you anymore. I mean, this is also a critical comment, because what I saw is a friend of mine built basically a ERP plus CRM for the construction industry. And I was really impressed how fast, from zero to this immense, huge project went like in 3 months, basically pre-built SAP and Salesforce, of course, on a different level, but still, this is the direction, and that's shocking. So maybe Reto, what's your current view on this? When vibe coding becomes so popular, what does it mean for you?
Well, for me personally, it's an amazing toolbox to bring ideas to life. You stop talking, and we should, and it would be great if we could. You just build. And what I observe out there, I mean, I'm with Vibe Code Fest and Vibe Code Workshop, I'm evangelizing this spirit, because building stuff and touching it, how it feels when you really have it, is so more powerful than ideas and concepts. But what I also see is people use this now left and right, and suddenly you have this new big hammer, and everything now becomes a nail out there. So as you said, now someone builds a huge ERP, SAP replacement, whatever. So people build, endless features, but they start to forget you need a hammer and a nail to hang up a painting. You know, what's the goal? What do you want to achieve? So just because you can build doesn't mean you should build everything. You still need to solve problems, build a tool which adds a purpose or solves problems to user. And there comes my UX history into it. And this is also what I try to kind of teach in this Vibe Code workshop on April 16. You still need to have sort of an idea of what you want to build, what problem you want to solve. And yeah, but that's sort of my take.
Cool. Valentin, anything to add?
Yes, I think one thing when you talk to machines before, what you explained here, right? Like the core thing was always to focus. What do you want to solve? What is the true value add of a website, of an app, of whatever tool you do? And our instincts were always to make things too complex. Right? Google also won against the 20, 25 years ago in the main search engine war because they were so simple, but they were relevant, right? And the others were cluttered, too many websites. And Apple as well, right? It always tries to bring simple solutions to actual use cases, and the others were always making it too complex. And with vibe coding, it becomes basically so easy to add a lot of clutter. And those LLMs and those chatbots, etc., also have the tendency to make things all the time very big. So when you write a very small question into ChatGPT, for example, you get a long answer, right? And that's why now all emails are long. They're still shit, but they're all long, right? And then people have to put the long email into ChatGPT and say, summarize it again, right? It's just joke. Take 3 keywords, make it long, then take the recipient takes it into the ChatGPT, makes the 3 keywords. So when you write the small prompt or you ask for a small solution, it will become a big, complex solution because the LLM thinks of all the potential features that were there. And that changes, basically you have to fix that by counterintuitively make very long prompts. So basically instead of just asking, build me an app to track my fitness steps or whatever, right? Or build me a CRM, then a huge CRM gets built. But usually you had a specific use case in mind, so you have to write a very long prompt, give a lot of context, and basically give like 5 times more context of all the things you don't want to do and what it should not leave out to have a concrete solution. So what will happen is currently there is a lot more software and everybody feels like I can build my own thingy and it will be very complex. And then the experts, or the better ones, the winners, will come in and make things simple and usable again. That's why I'm not afraid of our professions, right? A lot of people are now afraid of like, you will not need developers, you don't need product people. Everybody can build product. Well, you could have before, but you will build bad products and not great ones because it's still very, very difficult, or even more so, to build cool, long stuff. So the 2 things that I said here, right? Like one is really you have to give a lot of context. You have to be very detailed, very exact. Like write very long specifications what you want to do, and later on Reto maybe will show that as well, that you first try to iterate a lot of actually thinking, what do you actually want to do, and not just build a huge thing, because it's really hard to make something small big, but it's very hard to make something big small.
Yeah. Hey, and I'm happy that one thing I learned from you is the reduce to the max, the focus, the be very clear on what you actually want to solve. And that's basically what you said, Reto, this nail and the hammer. That's the most important part of the whole story. This is a perfect moment after the introduction, which no one wants to hear, to go over to the live demo that Reto prepared and also shows a step-by-step guide how to get started. I mean, maybe you can also say a few words about Lovable. Valentin, you're an ambassador. You can share some free credits when I understood you right. But important part is there's many of those solutions. Lovable is one of the major ones, the fastest growing startup in history. It's a Swedish European company, which makes it also interesting for us because they have, I guess, privacy and compliance a bit more in mind than American companies, if I'm politically correct here. And yeah, let's dive into that. Reto, the stage is yours for the live demo. Really looking forward to see what you can do here.
Now let's hope Lovable is staying up and running. Can you see my screen? I just shared the sort of the start page of Lovable. You see it?
No. Wait a second.
There is.
Here we go.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Why I love Lovable? I mean, I tried a lot of these tools. It's really the one tool which kind of keeps you away from code. You don't need to understand coding. Of course, it helps if you understand a bit the underlying concepts, but you don't deal with any code. If you go with Claude Coders or Copilot, whatever model you choose, you're always kind of close to code. But here it's really about building beautiful products. They kind of basically say, start here, just put something, make me a to-do app, and create a vacation planner app, whatever. And you also see here on the right side, I have done a few things. And I want to take you on a quick ride. I prepared something. So what I learned of building all these different products is don't just start with a mini prompt, make me a to-do app, because that kind of puts you into some random space and then you have to do a lot of tweaky to get where you want. That's why investing a bit time in the prompt 0, the very first prompt, you tell here in the chat window what it should build. So I kind of here, the demo case is rebuilding our vibe coding workshop landing page, which I built. So I just kind of a cloned version. And you see here in the planning feature, so Lovable has a build and a plan mode, and you can really iterate on what you want to build. And here you see like a very detailed description what you want to build. I started actually out in ChatGPT. I kind of said, hey, help me write the first prompt for a Lovable app. I want to do this and that. And you can upload even like screenshots and use this kind of style or whatever. And it's really good in kind of modeling it. I don't want to go into the very details, but you just see it brings you in a good starting point if you invest a bit time in describing what you want versus just make me a landing page for a workshop. So, and since this first prompt takes usually about 5 minutes, I already built it, and this is what you get after running it. It's basically a ready to go website. this is the preview mode in Lovable. So this is, I think, tablet, and this is the phone mode. What's, for example, here missing is it didn't add a navigation. So my first thing will be, I just prepared to save time the code. Now you see, add a navigation bar, which allows to jump to the corresponding page sections. Let me use plural. Top right, show a round placeholder logo. This is basically how I instruct. So let's, no, I have to stop because now I need to go into the build mode.
Reto, maybe to add one question here, very practical. The plan and build mode, how do you use it best?
So whenever I'm not sure how I want to do something, whether it's like how to design a feature or how I want to have it built, I go into the planning mode, because then it's like your coworker, you discuss, and it suggests and keeps on showing you different paths, and you can choose ways to build it. And if you're in build mode, it immediately starts to build, as you see. And don't be irritated about this error, because it tries to render some intermediate state. It's working here, and it will now add this navigation bar. And you see now we have here already navigation built. Let me refresh it. So now you can already jump to these different sections. What I don't like is that it put the logo on the right side. Move the logo on the left side. And let me check whether it automatically turns. Yeah, and I also want use a burger collapse if a burger icon if I see the navigation on a smartphone. So you know this thing, and this is just how you iterate these features. Now it's reviewing my thing, and I'm again in build mode because I exactly know what I want here. I don't need to discuss this. While it builds
another practical question, maybe also to Valentin. In this mode, when you sometimes start to shift around, like from the left side to the right side, it gets sometimes for this detail, it gets really crazy, and it's somehow this overlaying diffs or layers is really difficult to manage. Valentin, maybe you can also give your insights. Do you use like the tool for like visual edits to be more precise, or how do you prevent that you kind of start back and forth and you don't get the result? When do you stop this? Because it still happens, right?
Yes, it still happens. And that's also something maybe at the beginning that Reto said a little bit, like this initial prompt is actually more important than you think it is, because LLMs have a tendency, they always take into context what happened previously. So if you went down a very complicated path, it's very hard to declutter it again, right? Because it always thinks, oh, you want complicated stuff, so it makes it more complicated, so you can get lost. So it's worthwhile to first kind of like plan a little bit, or what also is like start playing around, build a first version, and then once you kind of like figured out, okay, this is what I actually want to do. This is like, it looks more or less what it is, but as you said, maybe some diffs overlaid or like certain things don't behave the what you want it, but you know how the end result looks. It sometimes is worthwhile to restart the whole project. Basically then write the prompt, or like maybe sometimes even ask Lovable, give me a prompt or extract what we've built so far as a summary, and then start the project from the beginning. This is also quite realistic than in actual engineering, right? Like that greenfield approach, because we're trying, like, it's like thinking of you go on a path and you take certain, in certain crossings, you go left and right or left. You are then in a certain valley or a certain theme. And sometimes you want to go back on a different view. And so this is how we do it. The visual edits that you mentioned, this is a feature. you put in, it's really just for text changes, more or less, right? If you say, hey, I like how it looks, but I don't like your pricing and tickets, I would like to call it pricing options, then it makes sense instead of like a full prompt, you just click visual edits, you go edit it.
Yeah, this is this mode where you can go into the elements and do some.
But to say like what in a good setup, you basically start with you start trying, iterate multiple times, and maybe start new projects, but you make the initial prompt longer, right? So the prompt can be huge at some point, right? As I mentioned at the beginning, when you add more context, it gets better because it doesn't invent new stuff that it thinks you might think. Because you always have to visualize. With this Lovable tool, you basically talk to a developer who don't know who you are, the way you behave, what you like, what you don't like. You always have to tell them. And that's the difference when you work with an agency or a consultant or so. At some point, they know and understand you, and they kind of know how to fill the gaps, because you will always have gaps in your ask. And so you have to basically specify that in very detail.
As you now see, this whole navigation with a logo placeholder has been built. I mean, it's literally like a couple of prompts, and here you see in a smartphone view, it even has this burger thing. So this is how easy it is. I mean, I can go on and let's say you can connect Stripe to have a ticket shop. I have
one question, Reto. Now when I tell people about this vibe coding, the first questions I always get is like, okay, now this is the website, great. How do I get it? Where do I get it? How do I put it live for like people that have difficulties to define what they mean? But like, what do I do now? How can I make it visible to others?
So basically, you have Lovable takes the hosting for you as well. You know, it has even a Lovable cloud where you can. It sets up a database. It stores all your images, everything. You know, and it runs immediately if I have to do update. And you see now the live site running here, share, and it's now deploying my navigation bar I just built. And then you should see here. Once it's deployed, I have to wait a few seconds.
You don't show the browser bar. Basically, we only see the view, but not the full browser.
But
now it will be on a Lovable domain. And if I want it on my own domain, how can I do that?
Exactly. So now you see it's deployed with the new changes. If I go back to here, they can say add custom domain. And basically, you can add an existing domain. I always purchase my domains in GoDaddy. And what you do is, I don't know, this is, I think, one domain I have. I will not go on with the connect, but it's basically says continue. It will figure out, your domain host is GoDaddy. It connects, and you literally make a few clicks. It automatically puts all your DNS records into your domain host on the domain host side, and then you wait, usually max half an hour, and then your website runs under your domain.
So the main takeaway is I don't need to be able to code or know all the technical details.
Nothing. It's really clicky, clucky, clucky, or you buy a new domain within Lovable itself. They partner with this iNose. It's super. I mean, I have connected all my Vibe codeworkshop.ch, vibecodefest.ch, and VibeHunt, and all my projects. They're connected to a domain, and I don't need any technical skills for that.
I want to emphasize this because I think this is life-changing. What happened in the last month is that Lovable really went into, they provide database, they provide the content delivery network, like everything you need from starting alongside the planning, like the whole software engineering lifecycle is covered, including like publishing it and including like, hey, I now want to integrate, I don't know, open weather, a widget. You mentioned Stripe. So you can even transfer the code to a GitHub repository. use it somewhere else, like
Mhm.
connect with Cursor or Cloud Code and continue, and it's still synced within Lovable. So I think I mentioned life-changing because the whole process, the whole software development lifecycle is mapped into like one single screen, and everybody can program business critical apps. I mean, of course, there are boundaries which we are also covering in the end, but this is, in my opinion, the big change, that you can do it from one screen and it saves you
And
months.
and it's not. I mean, every day I'm amazed from anew, you know, because the other day Remy said, "Hey, can you also for Vibecop Fest visualize the sponsoring revenues, which are invoices in Bexio?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe." It's not that complicated to connect to Bexio, my accounting system. So it basically took half an hour, a few prompts, and it said, "Give me the Bexio API key." And it pulled all the invoices and visualized it in my revenue dashboard. And then I'm just like, every day I try something new, and it's like, this is crazy. You know, it took months or years to build someone before, and now you just build it. And yes, it doesn't even matter. All these tools are great, but how you can plug together systems, whether it's a Stripe, a Bexio, an email service, it just always feels like magic.
Gregor had a question as well, which was interesting, right? For the Vibe Code workshop, we're selling tickets online. And they said, hey, because we want to keep it very lean, it's easy if people just can pay by credit card. And then he said, hey, you already built this connection to Stripe, which is one provided for credit payments. How complicated was it to integrate this?
Basically, you go into a dialogue. I mean, I can go on and quickly show it. You can either create also an API key on the on the Stripe side, and then Lovable will set up your products, your pricing, and everything, or you just build like a link and say add a ticket purchasing page. I mean, you need to have, of course, which you need to have a Stripe account, and you need to set things up in there that Lovable can talk to. But it basically says, give me the API key, and then it does everything for you. And then you go into Stripe and see the money come in.
And that's basically how we did the ticket management. We just count basically the credit card bookings.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can go into...
and then there was one common thing, it's always that people as well have, then it's like, which to be Lovable, we build an app, and now people want to send emails, confirmation emails or follow-up emails, etc. And emailing is something, as far as I know, is Lovable is not doing that directly yet, right? So you also use their service.
No, if you use, okay, that's a different topic. If you use the Lovable cloud, I have to enable it. Then you have now all these services.
Email as well now.
Here. Email now as well. I mean, it wraps around probably before you had to connect with Supabase and resend, and now it offers everything in here. And this is a new thing. You know, you have your built-in backend. You can add an open AI API, and so. It gives you now all these convenient services, and you activate them and use them like you with
one click away.
Well. Yeah. So let me quickly activate it, and then
This gives me another question from Tom. I mean, Reto, you're the UX guy, and you know the importance of it. And Tom asks, what about like traditional UX tools? I mean, when we talk about that, it taking over more and more from the software development lifecycle, or even from emailing, DevOps. What about the UX tools like Figma? How do you see the role of UX And Figma, how is this changing? That's the question from Tom.
I personally have a pretty strong opinion there, but this is just my opinion. I believe Figma is going away. Why? Because I have built testing time basically on Figma. We had like a product designer, UX designer sketching things in Figma, communicating to the developers, and they built it. So it was the sort of the mediator between product designers and developers. And now this layer is not needed, or this mediator is not needed anymore. You just sit together and prototype in a vibe coding tool, and then you iterate and try out. And you can take this live, or then you say, okay, dear developers, this is how we want it, That's why I think Figma, unless they really go also into white building, they have sort of a Figma make, but otherwise I think this role of Figma is not needed anymore, in my opinion.
I have a different opinion. I manage a lot of different, I work a lot with different SaaS companies, and we also co-own some. And they all have product management, UX people, they have developers, and they have salespeople. And I think it will very much change. Those roles will very much change. They will still exist, but they will change. And the reason will be that due to this vibe coding, or that the bar has been so lower, everybody's able to give concrete product feedback. I would expect every salesperson in sales conversation that the answer is not, here's my standard software, you can buy it, and if you don't like it, then unfortunate for you, or you can pay $500,000 for this feature. It's like they can vibe code the solution how it should look like, and at least they have then already written somehow a specification the way the customer wanted it, and then can hand this over to the engineering department, or however you want to call it, then. And then they already have the way how it's supposed to look, and then they still have to build it into an enterprise-grade solution. So SaaS will not go away, in my opinion. There are different opinions out there. But this vibe coding skill that, in my opinion, especially the non-coding people have to learn, will enable everybody to give smarter feedback. And this will automatically increase the expectation of everyone. I just read this morning, like this Jevons paradox is where when you have more capabilities, like we have vibe coding, very quickly people will demand way more. And this is how it will happen, in my opinion. It will not be enough to provide simple solutions, or a designer cannot say, here's my Figma thingy. Today, good designers, they know how to implement those designs with the existing tools. But design is still very important.
Yes, but I mean, they're a bit two different sections, but what you're talking about SaaS, I mean, what I just mentioned before as an example, I don't have to go so often into Bexio anymore because I quickly connected it through a vibe-coded UI to pull my invoices, summarize it.
Also because it's horrible, because those software are all horrible.
Well, and Bexio, I see, but Bexio is still, I mean, from a UX perspective, pretty good, but a bit also stuck in the past. But I think SAP and Oracle and all this old stuff and Salesforce will disappear in the background, and you build like modern new interfaces, but the backend will still be this old system, I think.
They all need to adapt.
I have a question from Kate, leading us slowly to the last part, like where are the boundaries, which we already touching right now. So what Kate asks is like, hey, how do you maintain a complex design system? I mean, you use a base UI kit, and then you somehow need this consistency with the prompts. Any practical advice? What can you do to maintain a complex design system first, and second, where does it stop?
Well, I can take here an answer. I mean, the design system, this is one thing you have to establish, but you can take this and feed it into your vibe coding system. Say, please follow this design system, but to maintain it, whatever tool you use, that's up to you. But a good, solid design system is helpful to build consistent or to vibe code consistent apps. So, but it doesn't replace vibe coding. Doesn't replace a good design system, because you still need to say what are our elements, our color, font, and everything. And yeah.
But how do you practically do it? Because how I do it is basically I build something, right, in an initial way, and then basically sometimes I link to a website and say take the design from there, or I just enter the design style guide if there's some availability. And I also see that still when you start building multiple pages, it starts interpreting that very creatively, or it's really bad in aligning things, or like especially when you have the multiple pages. And on one side, my feeling is, or we can see that Lovable very quickly gets better. So my one hope is that it will improve. And then again, to maintain complex design systems probably also means to maintain complex systems over multiple interface, etc. And there is still, like, those systems still exist, right? That's again my previous pitch. SaaS will not go away, because that's then as well the engineering part and keeping consistency in place. And they will get better, but there's still a difference between vibe coding a solution or having a complex system, run a complex system and maintain it.
Mm-hmm. You are on mute, Marc.
Thanks. What about the technical complexity? I mean, there is for sure and very clearly there are borders right now, and the boundaries of maintaining a complex system. Lovable doesn't do the job yet. So where do you define this border, and what's your point on when do we stop using Lovable, and how do you kind of continue?
If you want to build a prototype, an MVP to test the market, to just see does it make sense what we build, use Lovable or Replit or whatever tool you want. Once you see like this works and it's now ready to scale, I would hand this over to a proper engineering team. As of now, what's in 1, 2, 3 years, I think Lovable wants to own everything. They have now just partnered with a penetration test company. They are very strong now in security testing, reviewing your app. I think these companies want to own the full journey, and not like, oh, we are the playground, and once it gets serious, you go away from us. I think I don't believe they want to have this happen. So, but as of today, you need to take this out of this vibe code environment and kind of build it with people who actually understand the code behind. But yeah.
I'm a proponent that there is still a difference between, like, let's call it enterprise grade running production ready software, which multiple users use and rely on and usually have business critical processes running on it, and vibe coding. And how I promote is this new, how engineering works, that has to transform into agentic engineering. They also have to adapt and use new tools and don't work the old way. Like with our development teams, we push hard. They have to learn to stop writing code, which is really hard for them, really. But the agents will start writing the code, but they have to orchestrate them, set the right guardrails, and make sure they run, and similar to people, manage them continually. And that's the whole agentic part. The vibe coding is for everybody else who was currently not able to build stuff, who currently wrote in Excel, who cut a presentation, who took screenshots and marked something with a red arrow and then like, please do it, and then faxed it somewhere else. They need to learn this vibe coding part to adapt existing things, but also try out new stuff. What I also believe we currently don't see in the existing SaaS solutions yet, how they actually can use these new capabilities. Right? As you mentioned, Figma Make is quite shitty currently, but they develop towards it. And I don't have to believe that Bexio, CRMs, all those can stay the way they are. their front end, their different interfaces, the way people want to interact with those tools have to become way, way more flexible. And maybe they become, when you open Salesforce at some point, you can vibe code the way you want it to look. But in the back end, you still have the reliable system that guarantees you security, which will be way, way more important than it was in the past, even though it's already important, but it's still on the rise. And also customers will expect way more adaptability and more integration into their systems. And so both will exist. And then to answer Oliver's question there, I see there are different, I'm not sure if this Stitch tool and the design tools, they all will exist, but we have seen in the past that there will be more specialization. So it's more different use cases who are specialized for you that survive. Lovable at the moment is a tool for everybody. Everybody who built previously a website on Wix or on Squarespace or something else can now build a website on Lovable. And so they always have to cater to the big market. But there will be more and more specialization for finance people, for marketing people, for whoever people with specialty that there. But we don't have yet winners in those markets. That's how my view is. I don't think there will be one big solution eating the whole world. The world is too complex.
Hey, I will summarize this part until here. So what I learned is when you started off, Reto, with the prompt zero, that this core concept is crucial. Like this natural language needs to be very precise, clear. Then we have this new speed for validating or creating something. So the bottleneck shifts from engineering departments to just being overwhelmed with new products, but product sense becomes more important. Understanding the right focus becomes more important. This IT dependency is reduced. New team roles we talked about. And then also, last but not least, there are limits currently. And yes, I agree that those companies want to own the whole life cycle and they want to integrate more and more. But the reality check is currently it's a bit more than prototypes. It's internal tools. It's maybe not the ones which are multi-tenant architectures, complex database migrations, or like system integrations. But for here, actually, I want to quickly tease the upcoming webinar in exactly 2 weeks is about agentic engineering. So what's next? How can you transform your product teams? And also the Vibe Code workshop where you can say something, what can I learn when I attend this this workshop? Maybe Reto or Valentin, before we head into the Q&A section.
Yeah, the Vibe Code workshop is basically here to show you, to make you experience the magic of vibe coding. You come in the morning with an idea, a problem you want to solve. You've been annoyed about, hey, every time I have to write this report or pull together numbers and figures, and we will sit down with you, define the prompt and build it. And in the evening, we will celebrate together that you have an app which is live and you can share with your friends, coworkers, or whatever. And this is a promise. I put my hand in the fire because I have built too many things with Lovable. I know how quickly you can build magic. Yeah.
And
Yes.
Valentin, can you add like the part where it stops, because agentic engineering is the term you mentioned. So you are forced to still use like the software department, right? And maybe you can give more heads up, like where does it stop or what the workshop leads to.
So the workshop is really for not coders. It's for finance people. We have CFOs signing up. We have marketing people signing up. Whenever you currently build your Excels, your presentations, you have to build reports, you write a lot of emails to people to gather more information, or you work with agencies, that's the target group, to help them to visualize and build the first versions and to make like show you or help you, support you in overcoming certain obstacles. And it's especially as well accountability. When you're always thinking about like this is a repetitive task, or but I don't have the time, and we don't have the tools, etc. But maybe I should learn at some point. Then come. It's a master class at the evening. You have actually tried it, and you have lowered the bar, and you know what to do next. That's the goal. It's maybe what it's also maybe different levels of seniority. We have Reto and I have a lot of experience in different things. If you then need more technical support, we can adapt to it on a one-to-one basis. But it's not about agentic engineering. It's not that how do I restructure my R&D department now into product department to implement that. It's really more for the salespeople, the marketing, and the finance people. How do they now talk better to the engineering team? And how or the agency, and make that thing that was never possible now possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, and I would like to start with a first question, which goes into Reto's turf. We have a bit of time for that. So the one thing I learned is you go with a new application, you go out, you test it, you validate it with real users, and now you have even the possibility to generate tons of synthetic data, even synthetic users who test your product. What do you think, Reto, is coming in the future? I mean, you cannot read the future either, but you have a lot of experience in UX and testing. What do you think is happening there right now? Because obviously we will be spammed with apps, and you just posted the Vibe Hunt directory where people post their Vibe coded apps. And I don't know, maybe there's 100,000 new apps coming every day. So about validating who wins. What's going on in this kind of validation process?
A good question. I was last week at the big market research event. I was invited to a panel discussion about UX in 5 years. And we had to give a statement, and synthetic data and AI everywhere and everything was, of course, a big topic. I do think it's a swing, you know. We have spent, I mean, I have been part of this the last 10, 15 years. UX was the key ingredient to make a product successful, to win your customers' heart. And now, so some reason this seems not to be so important anymore, because now it's all about, let's get rid of the user. We want to automate. We don't need you anymore. We just would rather ask ChatGPT. We would create synthetic data to do an analysis and everything. People are just going crazy on this right now. It has its validity. It makes sense for certain things, for quick insights, simulations, whatever. But I think in about 2-3 years, it will swing back again, that we totally forgot about all these things are built for us humans. There is at the end a user, and it's not about getting rid of the user and automating in the way. So I think to really test and talk to real human beings again will be more important in 2 to 3 years. Right now, we try to go to the extreme of simulating everything, but we will realize, no, we need real humans again to validate and to research. And that's...
Hey, Valentin, you are the product guy. What's your view on the new metric of validation?
It will come up. I mean, of course, the market validates at the end, and I'm not. It was already hard to build something great, and the only thing what I see when you try to succeed with solutions is it will become harder in the future. So customer acquisition costs will only go up, and there will be way more solutions. But it's also there will be way more expectation of solutions. So software is still not so great today, and there's a huge gap how to make it better. And that's my hope.
I think that's the last and still sounding keyword for the end of this session. Is there anything you can share? So is there like the prompt you could share, Reto, and something that we can give to the audience as a freebie? Then I'll do so. And where can they find you? As maybe one last sentence from your side, and Reto and Valentin.
LinkedIn. This is the place I talk the most, and you can connect there. Otherwise, the Vibe Code Fest, unfortunately, is already sold out. That's a great place to experience Vibe. But yeah, the Vibe Code Workshop is a place where you can meet both of us, Valentin and me, and it would be really great to see some of you there and have a great, inspiring day together.
Yeah, you can find me as well on LinkedIn. I will either you can connect if you haven't already, or I will connect you later on. Come to our Vibe Coding workshop, sign up to Lovable with the link in the chat, and try that out. And we're really evangelism for this Vibe Coding thingy. Learn it. It's mind-boggling what is possible today. And when you invest half a day into Vibe Coding, you're already better than 99%, because people. Well, many don't have heard of it. If you're in the webinar, you're already a winner. It's step one. So use it. You will need it.
Hey, thank you. So inspiring, as Tina just stated as well. And as I introduced, Reto and Valentin never stop exploring even if they don't have to, but they never stop exploring. And so that's the slogan for everybody as a call to action. Explore this Lovable, try it out if you haven't done so. Hey, thank you for participating. Thank you for taking the time. Looking forward for the next opportunity to meet.
Thank you, Marc.
Thanks,
Have a
Marc.
good day, everyone. Thank you.